Namaste. Welcome to Inspiring Women. Inspiring Women is a TV show where we bring women leaders from all around the globe and share their success stories. Today we have with us Ms. Sevati Bondanza. She is a consultant within the UN system. Welcome to the show. You selected fashion designing as your field of study. Can you tell us what motivated you to choose fashion?
Well, I have always had like a close relationship with like expression of wearing clothing, and so as a little girl I was already really interested in fashion and putting together outfits, and so it went from that creative side of myself, that I went into it, and also encouraged by my family to find I was not sure what it was I wanted to do after I graduated, but my family saw that I was quite creative with my outfits and stuff, so they thought that would be a good way to go, and I was not sure, so I agreed, and I pursued fashion at that time.
You have a degree in fashion designing and you're working in a sector that is completely different from fashion designing, which is UN. Can you tell us something about the reason behind the transition from fashion designing to the United Nations?
Yes, after I finished my fashion degree in Geneva, I came to New York because I had found a meditation teacher. And so when I came to New York, I was kind of deciding what it was I really wanted to do. I was not totally convinced that I wanted to pursue fashion after I had graduated, actually. And my teacher suggested that perhaps I would like the UN, and actually I did. I ended up at the UN. I've been there like maybe 20 years working as a consultant there now. That's how I went into the United Nations.
You mentioned that you love traveling. What is the thing about traveling that attracts you towards it?
I thought about this a bit, in the past, and I think what I really love about traveling is that it gives me a whole different perspective on my everyday regular life. When I step into another culture or country, it's like I'm so distracted and I see life from a different perspective, really, from that culture's perspective, Yeah, and I think that's what I like about traveling. It makes me a little bit escape my everyday life, and it takes me, my imagination gets triggered when I'm traveling, and I love that. Yeah, I love that.
Apart from traveling, what is your favorite part of the job?
I love that I meet many people from all over the world. I love that about the UN. I also love the flexibility I get from having consultancies. It gives me a lot of freedom, to travel, which I like to do for fun, not for work, right? So it's great for me. That's kind of what I wanted, to have this kind of flexibility. Like when I have time off, I can choose also sometimes. So that's one of my favorite things of my job, is that I have all this flexibility and freedom. But I also love the work itself, I really enjoy it. I enjoy once I'm working, I enjoy the pride of doing a good job. That's what I like.
When you switched from one career to another, what was the experience that you had? Any distinct things that you remember?
Well, I think they were mostly surprised because, office work is not considered very creative, and I also didn't have much experience with that kind of work. So they were really quite surprised that I did that. I myself was, what am I going to do? I was a little not sure, about this new way. But in time, I learned a lot, and I learned to love it. And yeah, also I think at the time fashion for me was a little difficult because the environment is, I guess you could say it's more about outer things, and the UN has this very oneness approach to life. I don't know, I liked the idea of the UN, and so I left fashion behind. But I didn't really get too much backlash, from my family. They were just quite surprised, I think, that I didn't go with the creative side of work.
What advice would you like to give those people who are standing at crossroads and wanting to select the right career?
I think I think if I could go back, I would just really try to analyze for myself what it is, again, what makes me really happy, and try to find a connection to work with that, because you do that all your life, right? So it's very important that you're happy. And if like for me, happiness includes a lot of freedom and flexibility. So I know that if I am in a job 9 to 5 every day of my life, I won't be so happy. So I kind of looked for a way to have that flexibility in my life, right? I think it's very important that before you choose a career, you kind of know more or less what's important to you, and then go from there, because otherwise you get stuck on a job that you do every day that you might not like.
Many times, parents pressure their children to take a career that is different from their field of interest because it has a good future in it. So what opinion do you have regarding this?
Well, I mean, I think it's important to respect your parents and try to, listen to them, because they also know you well. But at the same time, it is you that will be stuck doing that job every day. So it is important that you do have a measure of happiness and joy and satisfaction when you're doing that. So, try to find, I guess, a medium, halfway point where you can please your parents but also do what you want to do. I mean, that's hard sometimes, but at the end of the day, right, it's you that's doing that job every day. I mean, you can always switch careers, obviously.
We hear people saying, do what you love and love what you do, and you've been an example of that. But when it comes to life, we can see that not many people can live up to what they say. So what do you think is the reason behind?
I honestly think a lot of times we don't do things because we have some sort of fear or another. It can be what people will think. We're afraid of not having security. We're afraid of what if this doesn't go well. There's always some fear behind us not doing what we want to do to make ourselves happy. I think because it's a risk sometimes. It's something new maybe. So that's what I think. I think it's mostly some sort of fear that stops us from just going for it. Yes.
Happiness and success mean different things to different people. So how would you define them?
For me, happiness and success go together. They do. Because happiness itself is a success for me personally. Like, it's really important for me to try and find happiness. I'm not saying you're always happy, but that's kind of it's part of life, right? That's what's worth it, because we come with nothing, we live with nothing. The only thing you take with you is how much you loved, how much you were loved, and your experiences, your self-growth. And I think, that's what I think about happiness and success. That success to me is actually to achieve some sort of happiness with your life.
When you look back, what do you think was a major achievement or a milestone in your career?
I think for me personally, most of the milestones for me have been about self-improvement, and I've learned a lot at the UN. I've learned a lot on how to work with different type of personalities. I've also learned how to manage my own stress, and so a lot of my achievements, I think, are sort of personal self-improvement achievements, and because what I do is kind of remains more or less the same, the actual work. But that's what I've noticed with time, like that I've learned so much being there, including loving to work, that was part of, I would say, a big achievement for me.
We talk about this concept of inner growth, development of personality. And how do you think this is beneficial to the all-round development of an individual?
We come to this earth to achieve certain things materially, but we don't take any of that when we go, We don't come with any of that. We only take intangible things, I think. And so it's very, for me personally, it's very important to work on that, and I've always had it since I'm very young, that I want to, maybe I see certain things in myself that I don't like, and I tell myself, I don't want to have that, I don't want to have fear, I don't want to have anxiety, I want to conquer that in myself. And I work on it. I mean, it's not easy, it takes time to even notice your own faults and your own thoughts,
Is there anything that we missed out asking that you'd like to tell our viewers?
It's very important that we have oneness with each other, and that we work on ourselves as much as we can, because we cannot change others, we can only change ourselves. And oneness with others is where it starts, I think, because then we understand, we can see the other's point of view, and we can help the world become a better place, really. that's what I would say. Work on yourself, work on yourself. That's the most important thing.